Nearly 6 decades have passed since Mission Impossible 1966 to 1973 revolutionized television with its gripping espionage, intricate plots, and unforgettable characters. The cast of this legendary series became household names, captivating audiences with their daring missions and high-stakes drama. But what has happened to these iconic stars after all these years? While some continued to thrive in Hollywood, others faced hardships, personal tragedies, or faded from the spotlight. As we step into 2025, let's take a closer look at the lives of the Mission Impossible cast, where they are now and the challenges they have faced along the way. Greg Morris was born on September 27, 1933, and began his iconic role as Barney Collier in Mission Impossible in 1966, at the age of 33. Barney Collier was the highly intelligent and resourceful electronics and mechanical expert of the IMF team. A calm and composed figure, Barney's ingenuity and quick thinking were vital in every mission, often coming up with brilliant solutions for complex technological problems. However, Greg Morris's life was far more tragic than the character he portrayed. Despite his considerable success, Morris faced significant personal struggles, especially in his relationships. His marriage to Leola, which initially appeared promising, was ultimately a source of great pain. The couple experienced deep emotional distance, and eventually, they separated. This breakdown affected Morris deeply, especially as he was unable to maintain the connection with his children. His professional success could not shield him from the loneliness and regret that permeated his personal life. He faced numerous health challenges in his later years, and his final battle came when he was diagnosed with brain cancer. The devastating diagnosis marked the end of a life filled with so much untapped potential. Greg Morris died on August 27, 1996, at the age of 62. Martin Landau, born on June 20, 1928, was a celebrated actor who portrayed Roland Hand, the Master of Disguise, on Mission Impossible from 1966. At the time of his casting, he was 38 years old, and Roland Hand was a versatile and brilliant character, able to assume countless identities to infiltrate and deceive the enemies of the IMF team. However, Landau's personal life was marked by the same adaptability and talent but also by profound sadness. While professionally successful, Martin Landau's marriage to actress Barbara Bain became increasingly strained over time. The couple, who had worked together on Mission Impossible, eventually divorced after over a decade of marriage. The divorce left Landau heartbroken, particularly as he struggled with the emotional toll it took on their daughter, who was caught in the crossfire of their crumbling relationship. This personal heartbreak was compounded by the emotional challenges he faced throughout his life, particularly regarding his family dynamics. While Landau remained a sought-after actor, his later years were filled with growing isolation and emotional pain. The lingering sadness over his failed marriage and strained family relationships haunted him, and he struggled with the loss of connection in his later life. On July 15, 2017, at the age of 89, Landau passed away from unexpected complications. Peter Graves was born on March 18, 1926, and in 1967, at the age of 41, he joined the cast of Mission Impossible as James Phelps, the calm and charismatic leader of the IMF team. James Phelps was known for his cool-headedness under pressure and his remarkable strategic mind, making him a respected leader in high-stakes situations. However, Peter Graves' personal life was marked by significant turmoil, far removed from the stoic calm of his on-screen persona. Graves had a tumultuous relationship with his first wife, Joan, which was fraught with emotional struggles. Their marriage eventually ended in divorce, a painful experience that left Graves with a deep sense of loss and longing. Although he remarried to a second wife, Joan, the emotional scars from his first marriage lingered, making it difficult for him to find true happiness. The greatest tragedy of Graves' life, however, came with the loss of his son, a devastating blow that left him grief-stricken and struggling to find peace. The shadows of this sorrow loomed over his career, though his work continued to earn him recognition. As Graves aged, the weight of his personal losses seemed to take their toll, and by the time of his death on March 14, 2010, at the age of 83, his health had deteriorated due to heart attack. Leonard Nimoy, born on March 26, 1931, joined Mission Impossible in 1969 as Paris, a magician and master of disguise, at the age of 38. Paris was a clever, inventive character who used his skills and illusion to aid the IMF team in their secretive operations. In stark contrast, Nimoy's personal life was a turbulent journey, full of deep emotional pain and professional uncertainty. While famous for his role as Spock in Star Trek, Nimoy's life was not without significant personal challenges. His first marriage to actress Sandra Zober ended in divorce, a painful chapter for Nimoy that left him struggling with feelings of failure and guilt. His second marriage to actress Susan Bay, although seemingly more stable, was fraught with its own difficulties, including the tension between Nimoy's work and the emotional toll it took on their relationship. This emotional strain led to deep feelings of loneliness and isolation, feelings that Nimoy tried to mask with his professional achievements. However, his career, which included various film and television roles, could not mask the personal void he felt. In his later years, Nimoy grappled with health issues, and his struggle with chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, marked the final phase of his life. Leonard Nimoy passed away on February 27, 2015, at the age of 83. Stephen Hill was born on February 24, 1922, and in 1966, he portrayed Daniel Briggs, the stalwart and commanding leader of the Impossible Mission Force in Mission Impossible. At 44 years old, Hill brought authority and decisiveness to the role, embodying a leader who operated with unwavering focus and moral integrity. Daniel Briggs' persona was a symbol of duty, commitment, and determination, yet Hill's own life was far from the strong, stable figure he portrayed. Behind the scenes, Hill struggled with personal demons that cast a shadow over his illustrious career. His love life, marred by an unsuccessful marriage, was filled with bitter disappointment and solitude. Hill's first marriage ended in divorce, and the emotional scars from the breakdown of this union lingered throughout his life. He had children, but tragically, his relationship with them was distant and strained. Hill's career, which initially seemed filled with promise, faced significant challenges as he was typecast and often struggled to land leading roles. He faced professional instability and personal frustrations that led him to retreat from the limelight. Despite his success, the emotional toll of a fractured personal life weighed heavily on him. After years of living in the shadow of both his career and personal battles, Stephen Hill passed away at the age of 94 on August 23, 2016. Jack Donner, born on October 29, 1928, took on the role of Buckaroo in Mission Impossible in 1966, when he was 38 years old. Buckaroo was a tough, resilient character, often thrust into physical confrontations that tested his strength and resolve. Yet, Jack Donner's own life was marked by struggles far more complex than the fictional battles his character faced. Donner's career, though punctuated by some success, was a long road of frustrations. Despite his undeniable talent, he found himself often overlooked, unable to break free from the typecasting that hindered his professional growth. His personal life was equally turbulent. Donner was married at one point, but his marriage ended in heartbreak, leaving him with emotional wounds that would never fully heal. The dissolution of his relationship with his wife took a toll on his mental health, and he became increasingly withdrawn. His relationship with his children was strained, marked by emotional distance and a sense of failure as a father. Professionally, Donner faced years of underemployment and mounting frustration with the industry that seemed to forget him. While Mission Impossible brought him fleeting moments of recognition, they were insufficient to lift him from the despair that clouded his later years. Jack Donner passed away at the age of 90 on September 21, 2019. Sid Haig, born on July 14, 1939, portrayed Musha, a fearsome and imposing character in Mission Impossible starting in 1966. At the age of 27, Haig brought a sense of physicality and intimidation to the role, yet his personal life was far from the stoic strength his character represented. Behind the imposing exterior, Sid's life was filled with heartbreak and emotional pain. Though his career flourished in the 1960s, Haig found little happiness in his personal relationships. His marriage was short-lived, marred by constant turmoil and emotional distance. He later spoke openly about the loneliness he felt, despite being surrounded by the trappings of success. Sid's struggles were compounded by a series of personal and professional setbacks that left him battling feelings of inadequacy and failure. Despite being a talented actor, he was often relegated to roles that failed to showcase his range, leading to frustration and a growing sense of bitterness. As his career waned, Haig was forced to confront the demons of his past, including issues with substance abuse and the pain of unhealed emotional wounds. His later years were spent largely in obscurity, with his health deteriorating from the toll of his past lifestyle. Sid Haig passed away on September 21, 2019, at the age of 80, from respiratory complications. Barbara Bain, born on September 13, 1931, played Cinnamon Carter, the alluring and intelligent undercover agent, beginning in 1966 when she was 35. Cinnamon was the epitome of elegance and wit, always able to manipulate situations with her charm and intelligence. She was a woman of many faces, a true master of disguise, and one of the standout characters in Mission: Impossible. Bain's own career trajectory mirrored some of the traits of her character, versatile and impressive in her range but ultimately haunted by personal tragedies. After Mission: Impossible, she struggled to find roles that matched her talents. Her marriage to actor Martin Landau, with whom she had 2 children, initially seemed like a fairy tale. However, the reality was far more painful. After over 2 decades of marriage, their relationship ended in a messy divorce. Bain was left heartbroken, struggling to balance her career and raise her children as a single mother. Her emotional life suffered as a result of the public nature of the divorce, and the toll it took on her mental health was significant. Throughout the years, Bain battled loneliness and depression, her career faltering as she faced an industry that seemed to lose interest in her. By 2025, Bain is 93 years old and lives in relative obscurity, though her talent is still recognized by those who remember her iconic role. Peter Lupus was born on June 17, 1932, and at 34 years old in 1966, he portrayed Willie Armitage in the classic series Mission: Impossible. Armitage, the strong and dependable muscle of the team, was a character who often handled the physical tasks, whether it was fighting off enemies or lifting heavy equipment. Lupus, with his imposing physique, was an ideal fit for the role, embodying a character who, despite his strength, also carried a sense of vulnerability beneath the surface. His career, while filled with moments of success, was marked by a long struggle with typecasting. Lupus found it difficult to escape the shadow of his early role, and his attempts to branch out into other types of characters were met with limited success. Lupus married twice, but both marriages ended in turmoil. His first marriage, to a woman he had met in his youth, ended abruptly after several years, and he was left to raise his 2 children alone. His second marriage, to a fellow actress, ended in a bitter divorce, with accusations of infidelity and emotional neglect. Throughout the years, Lupus faced the loss of close friends and struggled with feelings of isolation, his personal relationships often overshadowed by his career. By 2025, Lupus, now 92, has largely faded from the public eye, distanced himself from Hollywood, living a reclusive life. Lynda Day George, born on December 11, 1944, became a pivotal member of Mission: Impossible in 1971, portraying Lisa Casey, a skilled and resourceful agent. At 27 years old, she quickly gained recognition for her ability to take on the toughest undercover assignments. Casey's role was marked by her adaptability and quick thinking, making her a valuable asset to the IMF team. However, George's personal life, Unlike her on-screen character's resourcefulness, became a series of tragic events that left her struggling for stability. Despite her career accomplishments, she found herself in a toxic marriage with actor and director Bob George, who was known for his volatile temper and infidelity. Their marriage, riddled with emotional abuse, ended in a bitter divorce, leaving Lynda with a broken heart and the challenge of raising their children on her own. Her career also suffered from the impact of this personal turmoil, as she became more withdrawn and disillusioned by the industry's treatment of her. George faced a series of financial difficulties, and her attempts at finding lasting happiness were constantly thwarted by the scars of her past. In 2025, at 80 years old, George lives a quiet life, disconnected from the public eye while she has made occasional returns to acting. Sam Elliott, born on August 9, 1944, played Doug Robert in Mission: Impossible, 1970, at the age of 26. Doug Robert is portrayed as a brave, resourceful, and skilled agent, always willing to put himself in danger to complete his mission. His character's courageous demeanor and ability to handle high-stakes situations mirrored some of Elliott's personal struggles. While his career began with promise, the road to success was far from easy. After landing key roles in popular films and TV shows, Elliott's career faced a number of setbacks, as he was often cast in roles that left him feeling typecast. His personal life was equally troubled, having married Catherine Ross, only to experience a strained relationship that eventually led to divorce. The breakdown of their marriage was particularly painful, as it was marked by his emotional withdrawal and a battle with depression, issues that were never fully addressed. Despite trying to build a new family with Ross, Elliott's personal demons, including substance abuse and a failure to find balance in his relationships, made it difficult for him to move forward. The collapse of his first marriage was compounded by struggles with feeling undervalued in his career, which left him frustrated and uncertain. As of 2025, Elliott is 80 years old, having emerged from years of hardship with a quieter, more reflective life. Lesley Ann Warren, born on August 16, 1946, joined Mission: Impossible in 1970, portraying Dana Lambert, a brilliant and adaptable IMF agent. At 24, she quickly became known for her intelligence and ability to learn quickly, contributing to the team's missions with her sharp mind and skill. Warren's career, however, was not as smooth as it appeared on screen. Despite initial success and acclaim for her role in Mission: Impossible, Warren struggled to maintain her place in Hollywood. Typecasting and a lack of suitable roles led her into a spiral of self-doubt and frustration. Her personal life mirrored her professional struggles, as she entered a series of troubled relationships. Her first marriage, to fellow actor John Peters, ended after a few years, marked by jealousy and frequent arguments. Her second marriage was equally short-lived, with the emotional toll of her career affecting her ability to maintain a healthy relationship. She had one child, a son named Dylan, but her relationship with him became strained due to her struggles with mental health and her inability to balance the demands of motherhood with the pressures of a career. Warren faced years of loneliness, self-recrimination, and periods of depression. By 2025, she is 78 years old and lives far removed from the spotlight, having only sporadic work in smaller roles. Lee Meriwether, born on May 27, 1935, joined Mission: Impossible in 1969, playing the resourceful IMF agent, Tracy, at the age of 34. Tracy was intelligent, strategic, and loyal, offering an invaluable set of skills to the team. However, Meriwether's own life was filled with obstacles that threatened her own sense of security and peace. While she had achieved success as an actress, her personal life was less certain. She married her first husband, Marshall Borden, but the relationship was turbulent, filled with emotional distance and distrust. Their eventual divorce left Meriwether heartbroken and struggling to find stability, particularly in her relationship with her daughter. Despite her career accomplishments, including roles in Batman, 1966, and The Time Tunnel, 1966, Meriwether faced feelings of inadequacy and loneliness that overshadowed her success. She also had difficulties in managing her emotions and coping with the pressures of balancing work and family life. These personal challenges, coupled with the emotional toll of failed marriages, left her with a fragile sense of self. Over the years, she experienced periods of depression and anxiety, which worsened after the end of her second marriage. As of 2025, Meriwether, at 89 years old, lives a quiet life, far removed from the spotlight, having long ago retreated from acting and focusing on her personal well-being. Vic Perrin, born on April 26, 1916, joined the Mission Impossible cast in 1967 as Cheever, a role that placed him at the heart of complex schemes and cunning strategies. At 51 years old, Perrin's portrayal of Cheever, with his intelligence and devious ways, added an air of intrigue and tension to the series. However, off-screen, Vic's life was steeped in a deep sadness that mirrored the complexity of the character he played. While Cheever thrived in the web of manipulation and control, Vic found himself constantly entangled in the pitfalls of his own career. His personal life, marked by a troubled marriage, brought him little peace. Though he was married, his relationship with his wife was fraught with turmoil, and they struggled with deep emotional distances that led to eventual separation. Vic's personal isolation, compounded by the pressures of a life in Hollywood, led him to years of professional lows. The accolades he received for his work on Mission Impossible were not enough to alleviate the sadness that gripped him, as he was often forced to settle for roles that failed to reflect his true acting abilities. Amidst this turmoil, Vic became reclusive, battling depression and loneliness. His final years were spent in relative obscurity, his career having long since plateaued, and he finally passed away at 73 on July 4, 1989. Barbara Anderson, born on November 27, 1945, portrayed Mimi Davis in Mission Impossible in 1972 at the age of 27. Mimi was known for her determination and tenacity, characteristics that Anderson herself often had to summon in her personal life. Despite a promising career on Mission Impossible, Anderson faced significant personal challenges that were at odds with the strength her character showed on screen. Anderson's first marriage to actor Scott Sutherland was plagued with infidelity and emotional instability, ultimately ending in a bitter divorce. The split left Anderson emotionally scarred, and she struggled with the fallout, particularly with the public scrutiny that came with her high-profile roles. She had one child with Sutherland, but the divorce led to a lengthy and painful custody battle, further exacerbating the toll on her emotional health. Throughout her career, Anderson faced a series of professional setbacks that seemed to mirror the chaos of her personal life, including typecasting and being overlooked for more substantial roles. In the years following her exit from Mission Impossible, Anderson retreated from acting, unable to overcome the trauma of her failed marriage and struggles with her career. Now, at 79, Anderson lives a quieter life, often reflecting on the pain of her past while struggling to maintain a sense of peace. Who is your favorite character from Mission Impossible? How do you feel knowing that some of the actors have passed away? Don't hesitate to leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this content, please remember to like, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you won't miss future videos. Thank you so much.